In the midst of the last years of the Cold War, Clint Eastwood took a big risk in doing a techno science fiction movie involving airplanes, but it paid off. Now, Firefox, not to be confused with the computer program, was a minor hit, made double its operating cost, but the special effects in the movie, the way they were done, the impact of that has lasted for the last 40 some years. Now, it came out in 82 and is based upon the 77 novel of the same name by Craig Thomas. Eastwood produced, directed, and starred in it. The film was set in the USSR and now Russia, but Cold War considerations had Eastwood and Fritz Manz's Malposa Company using Vienna and other locations in Austria for double for many of the Eurasian story locations. One source indicates that the film was shot on a $21 million budget, the largest production budget ever for Malposa. Another source indicates that more than $20 million was spent on special effects. Now, the screenplay was by Alex Lasker and Wendell Wellman, and again, cinematography Bruce Surtee and Maurice Jarre did the music. Now, a lot of people felt it was a snub for its score and its special effects at the Oscars. I tend to agree. Saw it at the Paramount in Campbellton, New Brunswick in that year. Boy, some good, and the audio effects in this are tremendous. Now, the critics either loved it or hated it. Usually it was either 3.5 stars or 1 star. Rotten Tomatoes is in the low, the mid 30s. Now, a joint British-American plot in this movie is devised to steal a highly advanced Soviet fighter aircraft, a MiG-31 NATO code named Firefox, which is capable of Mach 6, which is hypersonic flight. It's also invisible to radar and carries weapons controlled by thought. Former U.S. Air Force Major Mitchell Gant, a Vietnam veteran, ex-member of the aggressor squadron and former prisoner of war, infiltrates the USSR, aided by his ability to speak Russian, due to him having a Russian mother, how convenient, and a network of Soviet dissidents on his aid, 3 of whom are key scientists working on the fighter itself. His goal is to steal the plane and fly back to friendly territory for analysis. However, the KGB has got wind of the operation and is already looking for him. It is only through the dissidents that Gant remains one step ahead of the KGB and reaches the airbase at Bilaresk, where the Firefox prototype is under heavy guard. The dissidents working on the Firefox help Gant infiltrate the base. Pyotr Baranovich, one of the scientists, briefs Gant on the operation of the aircraft, but warns him that is a second prototype in the hangar that must be destroyed. The diversion will allow Gant to either enter the hangar and escape with the first Firefox. Gant knocks out Lieutenant Colonel Yuri Voskov, a Soviet pilot assigned to take the first prototype on his maiden flight during a visit from the Soviet First Secretary. The scientist caused an explosive disruption, but a second prototype is undamaged. Baranovich is singled out for execution, but managed to kill one of the guards with a concealed pistol before he and the other scientists are shot. Gant uses the commotion to enter the Firefox and fly it off base. Now, evading the Soviets' attempts to stop him, Gant briefly reaches the Arctic ice pack and lands, making a rendezvous with a U.S. submarine whose crew refuels and rearms the aircraft. However, Gant's last-minute refusal to kill Voskov has consequences. The Soviet pilot fires a second prototype with orders to intercept him at the North Cape area. Gant completes the rendezvous and is on his way home when Voskov engages him in a dogfight. After a long battle, similar to what you see in the later Top Gun, which kind of ripped off this movie, Gant finally remembers to fire one of his rearward missiles, and Voskov's plane is destroyed. Satisfied there's no other Soviet forces chasing him, Gant begins his flight to safety. Now, the film was based on the creation of a mythical superfighter called the MiG-31 Firefox. The original Firefox from the novel was cosmetically nearly identical to the MiG-25, which in reality is actually accurate. The more intimidating versions seen in the movies were created specifically for the film and takes many of its design cues from the SR-71 Blackbird. In the sequel novel, Firefox Down, the Firefox appearance is described as matching the one in the film. Now, for filming, 4 large-scale replicas were created, along with one full-size model that has dimensions of 66 by 44 by 20 feet high. The full-size model was built from a radio station broadcast antenna skeleton and was capable of taxiing at 30 to 40 miles an hour. But the way the special effects present the plane in the movie is very impressive. Now, filming of the movie started in '81 at a number of locations, including Vienna, Montana, California, London, and Greenland's Thule Air Force Base. Second unit filming was in San Diego. Hollywood aerial cinematographer Clay Lacy flew second unit aerial sequences and a Lear 23 high-speed aerial platform for scenes that was later integrated into the film. Now, special effects supervisor, the great John Dykstra, pioneered a new technique for shooting the complex flying sequences called reverse blue screen photography. This involved coating the model with phosphorus paint and photographing it first with strong lighting against a black background, and then with ultraviolet light to create the necessary male and female mats to separate the foreground model and the background footage. This enabled the shiny black model to be photographed flying against a clear blue sky and gleaming white snow. Compare this with traditional blue screen techniques used in movies such as The Empire Strikes Back. The original scale model made by Gregory Jean, used in a blue screen work, is now on display at the Warner Brothers Museum. Warner Brothers put a lot of money into this movie, and again, it did well at the box office. Now, author Howard Hughes gave Firefox a negative review, called it best a smoldering turkey. Vincent Canby didn't like it, but however, Roger Ebert gave the film 3.5 stars out of 4, describing it as a slick, muscular thriller that combines espionage with science fiction. Now, Sheila Benson of the LA Times didn't like it, and Gene Siskel did give it 2.5 stars, called it generally entertaining, but it would do a lot more. So if Eastwood, who served as producer-director, had excised some of the laborious build-up to the final shootout. Instead, we were asked to sit through some boring patches in which he avoids detection from Russian security officers. Now, as of November 2021, the review aggregation website Rotten Tomatoes gave the film a score of 38% based on reviews from 16 critics. Now, get this, a Laserdisc arcade game, which I saw back in the day, based in a movie, was released by Atari in '83. Unfortunately, didn't catch on too much. And this is one of the big hits on the VHS, what he called bandwagon of the mid-1980s, because usually Clint Eastwood had 3 types of movies. There was westerns, romance movies, or, Beguiled or Play Mystic for Me, and Dirty Harry, and this. So it was a little bit somewhat Eastwood and somewhat not. But it'd be interesting to see how much Top Gun was influenced by this movie. I think it was a little bit ahead of its time. It felt like a late 1980s movie because the special effects were just tremendous. Again, the Oscars snubbed it. So this is my latest review of key Clint Eastwood movies. If you like what we're doing here on the big guy, who is, I think he's turning 92 pretty soon, give us a like, comment, subscribe, or share. And don't forget, requests are always appreciated on this channel and highly, highly considered. Thanks for listening. Bye.